um, agenda, so I guess we should follow that. Everybody's here, I can tell. And did you guys read the minutes that I sent out? The notes?
I did, yeah.
Are they okay?
I thought they were good, yeah. I'm all good on that.
Okay. And so now,
Question.
yes, sir.
Who is taking notes or minutes, or how is the process with that?
Well, I guess I do. I just sort of take notes and then write them up in that kind of a minute sort of thing, if that's all right. I mean, if anybody else wants to do it, that's great with me. But I can do that. I just take a bunch of notes and then I look at what we discussed.
Right. Okay.
And actually, we don't have to be that detailed.
Right, because we got the recordings.
Yeah, because we have the recordings. So
okay.
It takes off the pressure a little bit. I take a bunch of notes just so that I remember, because I don't want to go back and look at the recording.
Go
ahead.
I'll offer my disclaimer one more time. I have some skills to offer, but note taking is not one of them. It is just my brain does not do that. So I apologize to not be able to take up the slack for you.
I can take notes. I'm fine with that. What I have a problem with is keeping all the committees straight and figuring out, okay, what do we do? I know we do that, but is that Tuesday or is it? It's getting overwhelming for my poor brain that used to be able to do so much more, you know?
It's rather scary to me thinking about all of the 70+ years old running our federal government.
Well, they seem to be pretty competent, some of them. And the thing about it is that they apparently know how to delegate.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say good staff work.
Yes.
Yeah, really. And that's so important. I tried to do it all myself, and multitasking doesn't help. You know, it's not good for you.
No.
Yeah. So I think we're in good hands right now. I'm not worried.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. After 4 years, oh my God, we at least survived. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, so much for politics.
Yeah.
We had some good suggestions, I think, at the town meeting. I really enjoyed being there at both the town meetings. I think you all were there too, weren't you?
Weren't those something?
I'm so glad that people came, you know, and gave us. It's funny how they really zoned in on ranked choice voting, and of course, the Bill of Rights for Nature. You know, its time has come. Whether we can do it or not is another question. But you know, those things are really good. And with the initiative and referendum, I know there was some support for electronic signatures. I still don't think we can do it, at least not with the tech, you know, with where we are in the world right now. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah. I was able to reach a fellow who could do that. I mean, he runs elections trusts, and he set up a meeting with me, and there's another guy who was votehere.com, and these two fellows, I thought they'd be the best people to talk about this, and they were. They had some ideas, and they ran a ballot tracker program here in the county and had a lawsuit with the county about their use of a ballot tracker program back in the day when Mylene was first on the job.
Wow.
And he said it could be done. It would take a friendly auditor to do it, and it would probably have to be a pilot project. So it was a really interesting conversation, and he thought one way they might explore doing it would be through a voice signature, and instead of like they record your voice. So
my only feeling about it really is, you know, an awful lot of people are very concerned about privacy issues, and that's really high. And if they realize, I mean, of course, when we vote, it goes in the county system, and we apparently have something so that they know that you voted and that was you. So, but I'm not sure quite what that's matched to, whether that's a signature that they match to for each voter, you know, that they can automatically do, because they send out the ballots and the ballots have one of those little reader things on them, I think. You
Mhm.
know, if you've got a reader,
Barcode.
yeah. And I think
Yeah.
that's the barcode, and that's maybe specific for everybody. Do you think so?
Yeah,
You
I think
that
so.
ballot will tell them? So that tells them who actually voted in the election. Whether we can use that information to, because we don't have that barcode information, but God, I don't know. I mean, voice recognition, we don't have anything that has voice recognition on it. I don't, I hope.
Well,
I hope.
maybe right now they're taking it.
If there is voice recognition, I mean, I'm not aware, but sure, somebody with the technology can take our recorded meetings and do that. I don't know. It just seems overwhelming to me to figure out how to do that. I can see how great it would be. And thank you for
Yeah, it was just
checking with
curious.
us.
I was curious, yeah.
I wonder if they have any advice for us. Just to go to Marlene and see if that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
If they've
mean-
already had trouble with her,
But that was years
that's
ago.
not gonna,
I'm not sure how much trouble it was. Liz had a
big question.
Comment.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
Liz.
I was just wondering, Dave, if we felt like we were anywhere close to writing up our justification, if we were to bring that as an amendment, do we have even a starting point, you know,
Yeah.
three liner? And is that something we would want to try to draft, or find another county or location that has drafted something like that to, I mean, I don't feel like I have a good sense of the justification for why we would want to bring it forward.
right.
I'm sort of at the point in our discussion with, I don't think we should bring it forward at this point. That's just where I'm at, because I don't think we're quite ready for it. However, if we make the initiative process as robust as we're talking about, maybe that can come when the time comes, not 10 years from now, but sooner. We could do an initiative to say, let's have signature gatherers be electronically enabled. I mean, you know, this could be something an initiative could come up with, don't you think? I mean, in
Yeah.
the future, if we don't do it now, can it come up later, or maybe even brought to the council or something? You know, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if I can talk,
Please.
I almost felt guilty talking to the guys, because we talked about it's not really that we're that interested and we're nervous about it going forward. And so, but I just was very curious if it was possible. And it kind of came to me that it's going to be inevitable, but it's probably not the time right now. They're saying this year there's signatures being sold for $12 a signature. And so one of the pitches for electronic signature is to get money out of politics, you know, or get money out of the initiatives.
Hey,
But
what does that mean? Signatures being sold for $12 a signature?
there's paid signature gatherers.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
paid signature
paid.
gatherers. Yeah, they're getting $12 a
So
signature.
we've already sort of discussed that and decided we didn't want to have any paid signature
Right.
possibility. And is that something we can do in our initiative process, is just to say no paid signatures? I mean, you know,
But my thinking is that if we're talking about maybe 2 or 3 amendments in terms of percentages and paid signatures and gave the financial statement, if we're putting electronic signatures on there, that might color those other 3 that we think are really solid and positive. That you know, it'll make, if we're saying we should do electronic signatures too, that would make it seem more like we're more fringe and more common sense in terms of trying to really protect the system that we want. So I just went and talked to the guys and they're really interesting. I'll just report that.
Thank you for doing that. That's why I wanted to bring up the fact that, hey, this isn't the last chance for this. I mean, if 4 years from now is something that looks really possible, then maybe bring it to the county commissioners or whatever and just say, hey, can we do this somehow without having to go through the initiative process? Or if somebody was interested enough to go through the initiative process for that. But I just don't think we're there yet. And so you're right, Dave, it might water down the rest of what we want to have happen.
Mhm.
I'm multitasking, but in support of what we're doing here. Wednesday morning, I'll be on a conference call with it's Martha Lane Fox, and she's going to be talking about the technology industry and what's coming. And so anyway, I just wanted to put that out there, that it should be an extremely informative. I was looking to see if I could quickly find her bio so I could share it with you. But I'm not seeing it here.
Might email it to us if you find it.
Yeah, she believes in the power of technology, innovation to improve people's lives, be responsible and tackle the climate crisis. And so she's a heavy hitter in the world of how technology will shape and influence the way we live, and how does the future of technology, what does it look like, and how does the digital revolution affect you as a business leader. So she's quite the far thinker in that arena. So I'm partly because of what this group is talking about, I decided to add one more Zoom meeting to my week and listen into
Yeah,
what
that's
she
good.
has to say. So I'm kind of holding off any decision until I mean,
Okay.
because as I said it to the full commission, we really cannot envision 10 years out. It is so mind-bogglingly different that trying to set a path towards an unimaginable future. I just try to keep anchoring myself in that reality of what can we responsibly do to put teeth to whatever we create, and keep owning and reminding ourselves that this is a very different time to be forward thinking, because it's going to change so radically, unlike any time in history. The amount of change we're going to see, there isn't a time in history that relates whatsoever.
Well, that's a good point, Liz. And maybe what we can do, if we thought more about this, is to say that when the technology gets there, we the charter is would support electronic signature gathering. But it doesn't mean that we do it right now. But when the technology reaches us, I don't know.
It looks like Anne Marie has something. Yeah.
Anne Marie.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that, some language like that would be good to bring to the whole commission. And along the lines of when it's available, we want to do a pilot project here for, something like, might be a levy or something like that happens in February, where you have a smaller group of us here that all live here full time, to do it. But I'm like with Dave, I think we have to be really careful, because you're going to look very, very fringe when nobody else is kind of there yet. I think as a group, what we might want to do now, because you got to figure we're just a little bit close to April, and we have to have our stuff together. I would suggest early June to talk to the rest of the commission about what we're thinking about. And even though we would like to raise so what I'm suggesting is we prioritize what our issues are, and then we see what our case for support is. And we really need to write a case for support for, like, if we want to drop the number from is it 15 that we are now, to 10.
Yeah.
We can't just say we think that's a cool idea because other
Yeah,
counties are doing it. We really
Um,
need to have a case for support to put before the voters. And at least that's kind of where I'm at. And I think we're a group that each one of those, we should kind of break it down and say, talk about it together, figure out what else we need to get. And we need to start kind of planning our strategies in terms of where we're going.
So I totally agree with you, Anne Marie. And I'm thinking that for our little group, we don't want to overwhelm the voters either. With all of these committees are going to come up with something. I mean, yeah. I think still for me, the lowering signatures is one of the priorities. Do you guys agree with that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Can you
yeah.
hear me? I can't
Yes.
tell.
Yeah. Yes. We're nodding,
Okay.
but yeah.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
But okay, so and then the other things are we need to discuss the financial limitation clause. We may or may not be able to do that. Even, yeah, I was noticing that, well, never mind. It's not even our committee, but somebody else was coming in with a suggestion about public records and saying that the county had to purchase the software for this. I mean, you know, that's something. If we were to put an initiative out there and then the initiative said we need to purchase software to enable electronic signatures or whatever, there you go. It's going to cost money. Can we, you know, so the financial issue is a really biggie. And it looks like maybe that's still something we have to contend with. I'm not sure what it means. I can't see anything not costing any money unless it's maybe just taking somebody who already does something and he does 2 more things in his job description or something. I mean, how can you really put something forward there that doesn't cost the county anything to enforce? Or, you know, I don't know. Even when they came up with the ban on personal watercraft, wouldn't that have cost money? Because you have to get out there and enforce that, but maybe they didn't. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Dave, please.
well, it's well, like for the personal watercraft thing, it's a matter of interpretation. Does that cost money? And if the court said it does cost money, then that would invalidate the, and if the court said it does cost money and it's not specified how that money is going to be raised within the initiative, then the court would throw it out. It's not that initiatives can't cost money. It's that if they do cost money, that has to be provided for within the initiative. So it has initiative writers dabbling in the budget. It has or raising taxes or not just, it's not just a straight policy going forward. They're promoting a financial component to it. And one point is that the first limitation on initiatives is they can only have one subject. And by requiring a means of funding it, that is in some ways a second subject to it.
A second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
We talked about that a
22.
little bit last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And do we have examples of, you know, other counties, you know, similar to ours that don't require, do we have something that we could bring to the group to say, you know, or do we not even need to do that?
Well, the only county that I saw when I looked at the various charters that didn't require something on the financial component of the initiative was King. Everybody else had the exact same language that we did. So and given what we've heard from our fellow commissioners, I would say anything that deals with money is going to have a high bar.
And so just thinking out loud here, excuse me, Dave, you want to go?
Well, I was gonna ask, what do you mean a high bar?
That we're going to really have to count the votes, because we're going to have a lot of people come in and say, that's going to cost too much money. That's going to cost too much money. They're going to do this. That's going to cost too much money. If they want to do this, we can't do this. It's going to cost too much money. And what we heard with the sheriff and was, like, he actually can be out on the water, but they don't want to be out on the water, even though they have a boat. They don't want to do kind of the whale stuff. I mean, that's what I understood from the meeting we had with the sheriffs, was that they can do that. They don't want to do that. They can enforce, like when we had the lockdown and people were supposed to be spacing their vacation rentals and things like that. The sheriff's office did not want to pursue that. They didn't want to get involved in the enforcement of it. And somebody said to me today, well, why do you think that is? And I think it's because they really don't want to get involved in altercations. That's just not kind of who we are, what we are. They don't want to get involved in altercations if they don't have to.
Well, they do get
Easier to
involved.
say, let's let Fish and Wildlife do that. Let community development, let their staff person do that, So, I'm just kind of trying to understand the culture that we live in.
I know the sheriff's office gets involved in a lot of altercations on the domestic side. In fact,
But they always have mental health people involved, and they always probably have, depending on the island, people from the organization that's involved with domestic violence. The prosecutor's office also has a victims unit, so which they get money from the state for. So they've got a lot of backup there.
Slightly off topic of,
And I just did that because of the money,
yeah.
and thinking about, the whale stuff. And
It seems like a shared value for a majority of the full commission. There's a shared value that we end up with a home rule charter that has real teeth in regards to our ability to self-govern. And if an initiative process is tied to the budget, then it seems like a gross limitation
right.
And so the more I learn about this, the more it seems to me we have the illusion of self-govern, right to self-govern, but maybe not as much ability to self-govern as we have been telling ourselves we have.
The government, of course, the government has to pay for whatever they do. And so if they are governing, they will then get some tax out there to collect so that they can pay for what they do. And so the self-governing, I guess, needs to also identify where the money would come from and put out a tax there so they can do what they want to do. I mean, you can't just go out and be able to do something if you don't have the staff, or if you don't have, I hate money, but if you don't have the money available to be able to do that, you don't do it, even if you've got the law in the books, as we have seen. So I'm in a quandary in that if you do pass an initiative and the county gets it and sort of says, well, we don't have any money to do that, but it was a nice idea, so we'll put it over here, and when we get some money, we'll do that. So I can see where the financial thing is something that almost needs to be in it, as much as we don't like it.
Yeah, I just don't know enough yet to land on either side of it. I'm pretty certain, isn't it Dick Grout, who's very clear about that we don't enforce, that we don't need new laws, we don't need new initiatives. What we need is better enforcement of what we already have. And I have a real respect and listening for what he's saying, because it certainly seems that there's a lot of truth to that. And I believe that the people should have the ability to bring forward an initiative that is mindful of the money's got to come from somewhere, but it's not limited to their ability to say where that money is coming from. There's such a disconnect between them have the ability and information of, grants and budgets, and that I just can't make sense of it in my head yet.
I also have a problem understanding it. I didn't know that much about initiatives when I got on this committee. Obviously, I just felt for the people out there trying to gather signatures, and I've known people over the years who tried to gather signatures, and they're out there doing it. So I kind of wanted to lower the bar. That was my impetus. I didn't even think about the writing of it. I mean, the whole process is mind-boggling how much work it is. So when people get together to put an initiative forward, they got to have enough people working toward that to have the energy to make it happen. I mean, it's not just signature gathering. Liz.
Well, it does seem to me, so it does seem to me like we're making some progress here, although it may not necessarily feel like it. So we've clarified that we don't want to try and put electronic signatures as a front and center issue, that we might still look for language that allows an evolving future, but it's not a top priority. And we've clarified that we agree on that lowering the threshold for the numbers of signatures is a worthy thing to put forward. So I think that just leaves us with the money, no money to figure out. And am I interpreting our conversations the same as you all?
And I guess the other thing that I thought was maybe important was not allowing paid signature gather. I don't know whether that's important or not, but I mean, this county hopefully isn't going to run rampant with people trying to do initiatives all the time, and they pay people to get the signatures together so that they can be successful. I don't know. But when somebody does have an issue, we don't even know what it is. It's some novel thought that we haven't even thought of now, that isn't in our government, isn't in our charter right now. So yes, what we have right now, we need to enforce, but somebody could come up with something very worthy, and we want to have that ability out there.
Well, I think
So-
that's true. And I think that one of the things, at least on Orcus, that we're really aware of is the huge amount of wealth that has moved into our community. And with that wealth comes the ability to buy a lot of things. And I think one of the questions we need to go to the prosecutor with is limiting the ability to pay for signatures something that we have the authority to do. I know in the two campaigns that I've been involved in here, both times we talked about it, and both times we ruled it out because we didn't think it would be palatable to the people that we were representing and the people in the islands. But there's a lot of different interests that are coming in. And I think when you look down the road, 10 years from now, there's going to be a lot of people that want to do things here that we may not find appropriate for kind of the environment that we thought we were leaving behind.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important one to put out there, because it's the only way we kind of cement the fact this has to be island. This has to be an island thing, you know.
That's a really astute observation, because yes, we don't think about it because we don't have the wealth, but somebody coming in who has deep pockets could purchase an initiative, basically, for some development they wanted to do or something. Yeah, it's something to worry about, not worry about, but to guard against. And so I think paid signature gathering band should be on there.
What do you think about that, Dave?
An idea I think a lot about is that Jeff Bezos makes $150,000 a minute. And
Don't even.
and so for 2 minutes, and for 2 minutes of his time, he can make so about $300,000. And that's about the equivalent of how much our politicians raise to run for office. So for 2 minutes of his time, he, it's not true, but in abstract ways, he could buy out our government. And
Right.
I think absolutely what you're talking about is true. And I think, and that's why we need to, deepen the bench and strengthen the traditions of democracy here. And I think that banning paid signature gatherers, probably more than anything else, speaks to the spirit of our county.
Okay.
Lowering the threshold, that makes it easier. But I think people get banning paid signature gathering, is my sense. I think that would be the easiest, probably.
So
Okay.
that's one we want to put out there.
Yeah. I like that language too, about speaks to the spirit of the
spirit,
county.
yeah.
That's nice.
Well, thanks.
So what we're talking about are separate issues to be voted on by the voters. We aren't just going to say, okay, this, oh yeah, we can. It has to be, I don't know. Every time that you have something voted on by the people, it has to be only one subject, right? Not just initiatives, but anything out there. What we're coming up with is also that. Really?
And first off, do we have to take it to the full commission?
Oh,
And-
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get-
No, of course.
Get their
What
agreement.
we're
yeah.
presenting to the full commission are just recommendations, and then the full commission can say, we don't want to bother with that. But yeah, of course.
As far as can an amendment be more than one issue, like I can imagine amendments have to be, some of them might be really complicated and be addressing a number of things. So I don't know if they have to be a single issue per se, and I'm not sure what those parameters are. But I think these would all be single issues. And I think they would look very nice on a ballot. Very short, 1, 2, 3. What do you think about initiatives? Lower percentages, or paid signature gatherers, lower signature percentages, and financial clause. People, they can get that quick. And these would be very,
We need, they need to be separate, basically.
yes, yeah, they need to be separate.
And I still really think we have to have a case for support in lowering the signatures.
Of course. For everything.
I don't think we, for the commission, I don't think we need, I think we can explain why we don't want paid signature gatherers pretty clearly. But at the same time, we're gonna need to have that kind of case before the commission wants to go forward with it. So we've got to have some write-up on that as well. And then
Still,
in terms of the more than one, it sounds like more than one subject matter is also something we want to look at. Is that a yes or no?
I don't think so.
No. Dave?
I think with the more than one subject matter for an initiative is almost sacred.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's,
You're saying, do we want
I
to
don't
keep the
think we-
first limit? Do we want to keep the first limitation of the right of the right of initiative?
which is one subject matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Okay. I'm good.
I think it would be really good for us for next week if somebody either can take it on voluntarily, or if all of us think about these issues and write up a little blurb, or if one person can take on the thing and work on the blurb, and we'll have our things to discuss next week about the lowering the gathers and the banning. And then if Dave, who knows the most about it, can think of something about the financial limitation. Could we present things to us for next week so that we have something solid to look at and make it sound like we're going somewhere? To present to the commission at the time when the commission's ready to have presentations. I mean, we don't have to meet forever. We really only have 3 issues, I guess. Do we? Or 4 issues?
Then yeah, we're in something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Our issues are the financial limitation, the lowering and banning paid signature gathering. Yeah, and the only other one was electronic signatures, whether we want to even say,
Right.
should the charter be expanded to allow this in the future or whatever. Please, Dave.
On that point of electronic signature gathering, I think there's power to saying that we talked about it and then we explored it, and that it is something that could happen together. And so it's just the fact that we looked at it and it was seriously considered. I think that should maybe send up to the commission to say that we did that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then it can be discussed in the commission whether they want to take it further.
Right.
And I'm willing to look at the signature gathering. I'm sorry, the lowering the number, and see what language would work in a case for support. I don't know if I'll have it ready for next week, but
okay, nothing. Please, this isn't school. It's okay.
I have this other project called Climate I Want.
Thank you.
Please, Dave.
Anne-Marie, do you think that numbers, like we're dropping it from 1,992 to 1,300, I think, in terms of the number of signatures, are those good numbers to use, or are we just talking percentages?
Percentage, but
I would probably focus on percentage, but have those in our back pocket so that people understood what we were talking about. And then see what I can find in the other counties that have the lower ones and how they got there.
One thing that I think that's really speaks to our county is the fact that our voter turnout is so huge. And other counties might have 50% voter turnout. So you get, 10% of that's only 500 signatures or whatever it is. But we have such a high bar in the first place because everybody votes here. Then, it just makes it that much harder for us to have to get 15%. But that's something unique to San Juan because I love it, but it still makes it harder for an initiative to fly.
I love this committee. I do. It's the highlight of my week. It's just like it's just fun. And
oh, thank you, Dave. And so everybody knows, you don't have to wait to be recognized because there's only 4 of us. If you have something to say, say it. Except for Liz. Liz always keeps herself, not always, but she keeps herself muted when the puppy's around. We don't mind hearing the puppy.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, well, I mean, so our report for Wednesday night, Patty, are you going to give that, and how can we support you on keeping the full commission up to date on where we stand?
You probably listened to my past reports, which aren't very, brevity is the soul of wit as far as I'm concerned. And so I don't like to go into detail about what we talked about, whatever. So if what I would report is to say we're getting closer to submitting our recommendations and that they concern those 3 or 4 items, just so that they know that's what we're working on and that we expect to be able to present these in the future.
And
Is that okay?
I think that's absolutely what Kevin's looking for. Is he doesn't want any of the chairs, going into depth. It just takes up too much meeting time.
Yes.
So just to keep it in front of the whole group so that, it's not sprung on them. Go ahead, Anne Marie.
I wasn't sure if at this point they want us to write them up and send them in ahead of time. Dave, did you get a sense on that, or Patty? I mean, I didn't do it for last week, but I thought, well, I could do it for this
No.
week if they want me to write it
No,
up ahead of
I
time.
don't think so. I think they just wanted a quick so that all the commissioners could
No.
stay abreast of what the committees are doing.
Remember, there was Janet Brunel's suggestion that we send it to each other. So we send it to the whole charter.
Oh,
Am I wrong? I could be.
I don't think,
you know.
please don't do that. That's why I go to a meeting so I can hear this. If it's stuck in
Yeah.
my emails, especially in this system where I lose
Right.
half of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a lot to read.
Would this be a good time to tell them that we've explored the electronic signature issue?
Yeah, yeah.
And that we don't see a way around the fact that the state's not ready for that yet. And we're concerned that if we were to try to do something with that, especially after what we heard at the town halls where people are really interested in it, but that we're concerned that we don't really have the mechanisms in place to do it, that we would look, somebody said frivolous. A
that's
word like that.
You don't want it frivolous, any initiative frivolous, which I think a lot of, yeah. I wasn't really planning on going into that so much, but just saying that we were reviewing it. because
Okay.
we are. And then when we come to the commission, we'll tell them, because it may be that we want to address it for a possibility to be considered in the future. And we want to have the language in the charter to allow for that.
I was wondering, Liz, if you felt like you'd want to look into the financial limitations clause, even if it was, reaching out, or somebody reaching out to Seattle and maybe another county in terms of why they have done what they've done with it, why they've kept it there, to help us understand a little bit more about it.
Or Seattle doesn't have it.
Seattle doesn't have it, but all the other counties do. Even Whatcom has it,
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that Seattle is wealthier and all the other counties have limited budgets. And so they basically know how they're spending their money as it is, and maybe they don't have a general fund to dip into for something new. I think it has a lot to do with money.
Well, I would like to hear that from them.
Okay.
So that we could at least say that's why it's really happening that way. Now, Patty, you have a little bit of a link, right, to Ron Sims?
No, I talked to my daughter after that little meeting, which was kind of fun, but he's a politician and I really like him. And yes, I voted for him and it's good, but you know how politicians do that. He
Right.
kept talking to me and including me. It's like, he doesn't know me from Adam,
Okay.
but he included me as part of his thing. We were
Right.
good friends and it's just so funny.
Well, I was just kind of looking for linkages, we could probably go back to Kevin and
I
talk,
know.
get the guy from the chief of staff, because I thought he was really good and he would help us.
Kevin
I
is-
just didn't want to keep putting
it's,
stuff on you.
Yeah.
yeah. And Anne Marie, I'm not at all opposed to doing that. The silence that you were hearing was me just thinking about, well, how would I do that? And where would I begin? And who would I, start that process with? And so, yeah, let me just try and move that forward to find some different people to get input from.
Sure enough. And there's no deadline.
You guys are great.
Yeah.
what about the first freeholders here? Why did they include it? I'm curious.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's great. So
Mhm.
because I do know Madrona, who was one of, on that, and then she was on the last one. And so I can chat with her and Rhea Miller,
My
Patty.
internet connection.
Oh, we can
Is unstable.
hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I
I
can
have
start
a
there.
point to make about trying to get what the original guys were. I went to talk to Bill to see why they had set it at 15%, back when I think it was that. And he said, well, go and look at the findings. And so I looked at the findings, and the only findings I could find were of the review, the charter
Right.
review,
Yeah,
and not
exactly.
the original
It's not in
makers.
there.
Yeah. And I don't think the original makers have any backup. You kind of have to know who they were and then go talk to them.
Yeah, so there's two people on Lopez that I know personally that I can reach out to. So Rhea Miller and Madrona. So I'll contact both of them and ask them what their thinking was on that,
That'd be great.
and what their thinking is about our intent to look to lower that percentage.
Well, but also the financial language.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Like,
that's what
why did we include the financial language? that
Sorry,
we
I forgot what my role was.
No,
there,
no,
yes.
I was just thinking that more
That's
I mean, if you get
Yeah.
anything else, that's all cool too.
Yeah,
But the big thing we don't know is why
Yes.
did we put that in there?
Got
And
it,
was
okay.
Just something that the prosecutor told us we needed to do,
yeah.
because all the other counties that were small like us were doing it.
Yeah, it just has the feel, and I could be totally wrong, and it'd be great to find out that I'm wrong on this, but it just feels like somebody who was politically savvy knew that if you throw that in there as a road bump, then it really limits the capacity of the power of an initiative. And like I said, I could be completely wrong about that. So
Right.
yes, I'll reach out to people here on Lopez that were part of the original document, the founders
Right.
group, and report back on that. So
And they'll
yes,
have other people too that'll be good to connect with.
right. Happy to do that.
Excellent.
Okay.
Do we know who the original people were? Where do I find that out?
Got it. It's on one of the documents I have and one of the emails somewhere. It's probably, oh, Dave, do you know where it is?
No, I don't. I was going to suggest one thing, and it might relate to this, is I was wondering if it would be worthwhile talking to the director of elections, and they would have it, I would think.
In Olympia?
No, here.
Oh, Mylene.
Oh, well,
Carmen, I think.
the what?
Carmen, not Carmen, Camille.
It's like Carmadia or something. like
Carmel, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's really nice. If she has it.
Oh, that'd
I
be
could
good.
ask her.
Yeah. No, she was really, really responsive. I thought she was great. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, she would have it or know where to find it within, because I'm sure it's
Yeah,
within
that's
elections.
good. I know.
Liz, did you deal with her at all
I've got her
when
telephone number.
you were signing up for this whole process?
Who,
The
me?
lady over
Yeah.
in elections?
Many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You know
did
me.
She
too.
was
They got to
good.
know me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually it might even be something
yeah,
that we
because-
can Google. You could just ask Google and it might just be,
Right.
That-
The verb to Google.
yes.
Yeah.
You're too smart, Liz. In fact, I could try Googling it right now while we're
Yeah.
talking, maybe. Except my computer is so slow.
Yeah, no need to do
Let's
that.
see.
But I'm excited about knowing where to reach out and the question to ask, and be exciting to bring back what I've found there. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I just would love to hear what you guys thought about Friday and Saturday. I was blown away by the number of people who were there. My original thing when they said they were going to do it Friday night was like, oh, good luck with that. Friday night
yeah.
to go to a Zoom meeting.
I'm with you, Anne Marie. I was blown away by the number of people, the quality of comments, the level of engagement.
And I gotta say, those guys with the civil rights for nature or the Bill of Rights for nature, they are so
Yeah.
freaking organized. Put you to shame, girl. I'm like, woo, never had a crew like that.
Yeah, it was impressive on all kinds of different levels. And the fact that so many of us showed up, I was,
Yeah.
proud of us also, that, we were there, we sounded good, looked good. So,
And if you remember, Ron Sims said they didn't have very many people show up when they did theirs. And that was just recently, like in the last 2 years.
oh, well, aren't we something?
What was that? I missed it.
Well, I was noting that Ron Sims said they had these town meetings, but they didn't have very many people show up. So I was kind of thinking,
Oh, yeah.
we get 5, maybe we'll
Yeah,
leave early.
Okay.
I wonder if we have to stay for the whole thing. Nobody shows up, can we go home?
And don't you think that sort of points to the climate we're in right now?
Yes.
Of like, so many of us are on the edge of our seats saying, we got it,
You got to do it now.
Yes. And Anne Marie, I wanted to say what you had to say on the town hall meeting. I loved how passionate you got. So
Well, I have to tell you that I was really embarrassed that I got that compassionate. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that in front of all those people.
no,
So it's like, oh,
no, I was on the opposite end of that and
well,
thinking,
thank you very much. I appreciate it because I was embarrassed afterwards.
no, it was perfect on all kinds of levels.
never.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So where
But
are
I
we?
am retired. I am retired. I have no interest in working for the government. In fact, I have a lot of other things I want to do. And today I kind of hurt my back trying to work on my rose bushes.
Oh,
So I'm, like I got a lot of other stuff I have to do. I got 4 people that moved into my house in August, and we are
wow.
just getting them settled into a new home in East Sound,
Mm.
So I'm
Mhm.
like, I've been in, it's like I've had a flood. I've had my own refugee camp going. No, this is my son and his family moved up from Bolivia. And
Oh,
so the kids are all in the school system here and learning, everybody is translating all day long because they're going from, they're all bilingual,
Sounds
but they're
exciting.
going from Spanish to English. And, so it's, they're really, now January, they're really kind of with the system, but
yeah.
everybody's kind of getting their feet on the ground. They've had a
Wow.
really rough government down there.
Um,
So it's been exciting.
Getting back to our,
Sorry.
I
Sorry
found
for the sideline.
original freeholder.
Oh,
And so the members, if I can read it, oh my God, it's so small. Let me see if I can make it any bigger. Keeps jumping back to small, but okay. Jerry Bromius or something, David Bailey, Charlie Bodenstah, Jeffrey Under. Gosh, you can hardly read these.
I don't know most of these
And
people.
let's see, Ed Carlberg, Lola Dean,
I know Lola.
Ryan Drum. Does anybody know any of these yet? Frederick
know Lola.
Ellis. Oh, okay. So Lola is one. Richard Freilich,
Yeah, I know him.
George Johnson, Mindy Kale, Jean Knapp, Steve Ludwig,
Gene
Gordy
is no longer
Peterson,
with us.
Gail. He's no longer with us?
He died.
Did Gordy move away?
No.
He died?
Gene Knapp died.
Oh,
Because
okay.
careful, this is how rumors get started.
Yeah, really. Gail, it looks like Rollins and Linda Trothway. George Johnson, did I mention that? He was the chair. And members absent, Walter Corbin, Greg Harstead, Stephanie O'Day, Bob Query. And that looks like about it. I don't know almost any of those.
I'm confused by that
Hardly.
list because I really understood that Madrona and Rhea Miller were both on that, in that group, and you're not.
Well, Rhea may have been a commissioner then, but I thought Jamie said he was on then at one point when I heard him talking.
This was dated 2005. Is that when they thought up the thing? This is San Juan County freeholders.
I think it'd be valuable to talk to Rhea.
Yeah, I'll talk to Rhea and get her thoughts on it. I just be nice to be clear of if they were in the initial document or in Madrona.
And maybe these are might
Yeah.
not be the guys that made the charter. No,
Yeah, I don't know what that is. So,
I asked for freeholders, and that's what
Yeah.
it gave me.
okay.
Oh my goodness, a little bit of porno there on this one.
Anybody we know?
You know, it's freeholders, you never know. Man.
Yeah, a wild crowd.
What is that? Patty, is that something you can send to us?
Yes.
Yeah, really? Zoom link?
My internet.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Her internet crashed.
I just, yeah.
She
I
could
just
share her.
sent this
She could
red
share
dotted
her
it.
screen, but I'm not so certain I want to do that.
Right. No, but I was thinking
I
that
don't
before you
think
mentioned
I
the porn on there. But can you share that document that with us?
I don't think so. I got
Okay.
rid
But
of
you
it.
just Googled
I'm sorry.
freeholders San Juan
Was it
County?
minutes of a meeting? It was the minutes of a meeting. You might find something else. I
Okay.
was just trying to come up with freeholders, and I clicked on that, and the meeting was in 2005, and they had all these people present. So that's why I was reading them, but it was so small I couldn't even read it.
Yeah.
But that didn't
Well,
help much.
I'll Google it too and see if there's more people. I know Richard Freilich. And see if there's anybody else from Orcas I know.
Yeah, if we can get just some opinion as to what went on, what was the
Right,
discussion
on all the
about
different
that.
subjects. Yeah.
Well, Rhea will be a great one to
Yeah.
reach out to
Right,
because
she's really great.
since she was a council member, except they were called something different than, what was it called before?
She
They were
was the town hall.
What?
Ooh,
Commissioners.
Oh,
Commissioner.
commissioners. So she was a commissioner.
Yeah.
So
commissioner.
she'll be a good one to reach out to and talk with her about that. So I should come back with something really solid from her. And Madrona, that's true of also. So,
Yeah. Perfect.
all right. Well, my friends, I can feel my second COVID shot.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
My
I
my
guess,
internet is I can't really almost hear anybody, and I'm thinking that maybe we should, it's 8:05, so maybe we should adjourn the meeting. And you can continue talking if you want to, that's okay. But we should probably adjourn the meeting at 8:05 and stop the recording.
I'll second that.
What do you think?
All good.
Yep.
Okay.
Till next week.
Oh, good.
Turn the
I
recording